Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. So, we've only got one day left of the closed beta, guys, and I gotta tell you, I had tons of fun. I'm gonna do a recap video in tomorrow's video to talk about the things that I like, the things that I think they could change a little bit, some minor tweaks here and there. But today's video, I actually wanted to walk through my most used heroes to kind of just give you a glimpse of what I was using and how I progressed, because I think I got fairly far and did pretty well in a lot of things with the heroes I used most of the way through free to play. I think everything that I've unlocked has been from free to play. It's just I eventually got more account levels and summoned some more heroes like for fun, taking advantage of the rebate. But if you look at my characters here, the SSRs, all of the characters that I pulled, minus Doki Doki, were free to play. So I pulled a Heinrich and I pulled a Lily free to play, and then I pulled all the rest of these heroes free to play other than the Leon and Leongo. Obviously, they're characters given to you. So I pulled on the Freya banner, and then after that, I just did permanent summons. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So who did I use the most, right? Who are the characters? Leon, I used a ton. This character is, I really don't understand why people have recommended to disassemble her. You have no other option when it comes to fire damage dealers. Like, you have one or two that are single target, but from an AoE standpoint, like wave clearing and stuff like that, she is amazing. So I would say that I'm planning on just building her up as my first 6-star, take advantage of the hyperlink charter, right? That's something that the game always is pushing you to do, primarily with her. And I will not regret that 1 second. Her final, attachment was pretty good. Her shell, which was Twilight Knight, it was an epic shell with 30 speed, with the high roll on attack percentage and the high roll on speed. And then I mixed and matched this. This was eventually Reason, but then I switched it to Hollow to add it to Rilmoka, I think is her name. Rilmoka, yeah. So she had some pretty good stuff. I basically mixed and matched a bunch of gear to between her and Rilmoka. They were my two main damage dealers. But yeah, Leon was absolutely fantastic, and I'm planning on building her again at global launch. The next hero that I didn't like at first, and then all of a sudden I was just like, wow, why have I not been using this character? Her unique debuff in hacking progress and hack-in is just so huge. Like, the amount of damage amplification that you get from this character is nuts. It's quite easy, in all honesty, to get hack-in procced, which is a 20% damage increase. The boss is doing, or enemy waves are doing 35% less damage to you, and their speed is decreased by 15%. On top of that, on her skill 3, she also adds a defense down. So the amount of damage amplification is huge. But not only that, she also steals turn meter and reapplies it to the rest of your team. So it's like a turn meter reduction and boost at the same time. Yeah, this hero is absolutely fantastic. I used her basically everywhere. If it was a fire-related dungeon, I still threw her in, just because of those debuffs, and she would normally die, but she got the job done for the most part, right? The shell that I used on her at the end was Black Flag. This is where after your unit takes an action, it increases their turn meter and applies a 2-turn speed. I really wanted her to go as often as possible, so I had her, in speed gear. I've kind of disassembled some things, but I eventually had her at 12 sets of Swift Rush and then some Wellspring and things like that. She's more of a support hero, But the thing to note is she has the highest base speed in the game, at least that I've seen. So she outbeats like Lily and stuff like that, who's also fast and pretty oppressive in PvP. So Kloss is also great in PvP as well because of her base speed. So I used her a lot too. Romoka, man, this hero, I was so surprised by this hero, but she is amazing. Like, I'll have a video, sometime in the next 2 weeks talking about selective summon options, and she is one of the heroes that I totally recommend just because she makes Doki Doki a joke. Like, her damage output is extremely strong. One of the things that you'll struggle with early on for sure is the cooldowns that are required, like on some of your bigger characters, like on Leon and things like that, like a 4-turn cooldown on her AoE, like her damage dealing skills, tend to be an issue. Well, Romoka has a built-in kind of passive on her skill 1 that reduces her skill cooldowns after she gets a kill, and she gets lots of kills. So, yeah, she's a fantastic character. I ended up skilling her up for fun here to just test some things, but if you can get her level 5 pumped up, her splash ratios go from 33% and 100% on kills. She does tons of AoE damage, even though she's a single target damage dealer because of the splash damage. This is a very hard-hitting skill, and she's, no lie, a better wave clearer than Leon. So the reason why I would recommend her for like a selective summon is because Leon struggles with the blue elements. Romoka will cover you very, very well there. So the next character that I used a lot was Freya. She was the second SSR that I got because I pulled on her banner. She just does so much. It's hard not to tell players to pull for Freya because she literally does everything, and she's great in both game modes, PvE and PvP. She's technically kind of the best starter in PvP, but her base speed is slower than someone like Kloss or Lily. So you will get outsped if you have like identical gear on your Freya. But anyway, that's beside the point. I didn't play a whole lot of PvP in this beta. But yeah, I mean, like, she purifies debuffs. She pushes back turn meter. She enhances your own turn meter. She gives you defense up. She gives you attack up. She gives amplified damage. She reduces damage, or she allows for like built-in lifesteal, so a little bit of sustain. She's just so good. Like, as a supporter, she's absolutely fantastic. It's funny that I used like 3 green characters and then the 1 fire. But yeah, like, I used her all over the place. I'm still sticking to my guns here. I know I've talked about it in other areas, and on my selective summon video, I'm going to mention to still pull for Freya first. I know other people disagree with that, but I'm sticking to my guns there. I just think she's so worth it, and she's going to help early game, but will not fall off at all late game. So I also used her in that same shell that Kloss was in, just to help boost turn meter and things like that. I want her going as fast as she possibly can and cooking. Okay, so the next most used hero I used was Kraken. Kraken's amazing. I think everyone knows this at this point. He was actually the first SR that I fully skilled out on his skill 3. Reducing the skill cooldown of the AoE freeze is really, really important for Doki Doki. It was one of the key pieces for me to get as far as I did in that dungeon, and I do not regret it. This as well, I eventually, I later skilled up. I don't know if this is necessary. The 2-turn defense down is nice, but again, yeah, I really don't think it's necessary. I probably wouldn't do that again. I just stick to this one. I ended up using Viper a good bit. This was mainly in the PvP side, but he was pretty useful in the main quest to beat Hellkid. And then there's, a couple shell dungeons that require your speed to be higher than the boss to actually do damage. So, yeah, I used Viper here. in those areas. Viper has counterattacks. It ends up applying the speed down and attack down pretty frequently. So this is a pretty strong skill even at a 4-turn cooldown, because his mechanic is anytime someone is crit, he counterattacks, or at a higher percentage. And once he counterattacks like 3 or 4 times, he eventually will counterattack with the scale slash. So the attack and speed down is up for most of the battle. Next hero that I used a lot was Obel. Whenever I couldn't find like a water damage dealer, Obel was the guy that I turned to. Not only does he have the AoE stun, which is also nice to compare with or pair with Kraken, but the DOTs can really stack up. He can really notch up the DOT damage, and the higher you progress in the game, the higher HP bosses have. So he's quite strong. Also, if you ever run into enemies that put up a lot of buffs, Obel is able to remove them and then replace it with a DOT. So I used him a good chunk as well. Next up, who I used a lot, was Chiaki. I've seen a lot of people dish or bash on this hero, but I had found this Origami Guardian to be such a key buff for me in surviving like big hits from Terramaton. There are other healers that are better than her, for sure. But as an epic that I just kept at 4 stars, like I didn't invest a whole lot of materials into her. I didn't level anything up or anything, and she still helped me progress. So I thought she was a really solid option for the fire like support healing spot that I really enjoyed. So yeah, she was another one I used. And then I think the last one that I used quite often, the last one that I used quite often was Dorothy the Wisher. So I eventually phased out Gray because I was using Kloss for my defense down, and that way I could shift in Dorothy the Wisher to give my team crit rate up and life leech, because all Gray really offers is the crit rate and defense down. I already had the defense down covered, so why not bring in another character that can give you crit rate with another valuable buff to kind of pair with Leon? And then her skill 2 reduces skill cooldowns and gives a crit damage up with a big turn meter boost. This was really good to loop back around to like Kraken, to Leon, to Kloss. All of those people, the turn meter boost is really big and it's very helpful. And then she also has a turn meter boost on her skill 1. So yeah, those are the characters I used. Now, to go back, like I got Lingluo after 7 days, as everyone will. After I got her, she was really great. She was key to keep progressing, like in some of the shell dungeons. I can never pronounce this guy's name. Borne. He's like all attack. He's really easy to build. I think I would find ways to utilize him a little bit more. Like his multipliers are just absolutely huge, and his passive gives him a lot of like built-in self-sustain because he has so much HP. It's interesting, but I would probably utilize him a bit more. Now, one of the heroes, or a couple of the heroes that I missed out on because I didn't get them until later, was Chiaki the Echo, which everyone knows has a really big turn meter boost. And then Dinah. Dinah is another hero that I didn't pull until late, so I never built her up, but the amount of damage amplification is pretty impressive. I think, I could obviously sub her in for someone like Kloss against, Terramaton, and maybe it might be a little bit better because she's a positive affinity. But Kloss is so hard to replace in regards to Dinah, but if I don't pull Kloss, because that was like the 3rd SSR I pulled, if I don't pull Kloss, Dinah is certainly a character I will want because from an epic standpoint, I think her damage amplification is really strong. I've heard great things about Marvell as well. When I first read him, he seemed more like a PvP unit, but the turn meter pushback of 40% and the speed down AoE seems quite good. You can also boost that up to 50%, so I get it. I understand. But yeah, like, I think the characters that I had built up were probably some of the better ones. I never played Tiamat. I know a lot of people rave about Tiamat, and that's certainly a hero that I think if I don't pull in the regular summons, I'll be tempted to go for in the targeted summon early on. But another one that I was tempted for was Lilith. This is another hero that I'd like to try, and that's because Lilith and Tiamat are basically like the same hero, kind of, in regards to their damage. Lilith has more control, where Tiamat is more support. But Doki Doki seemed to be just a really important dungeon, especially if you want to do PvP, which I kind of do. And I was really missing out on some speed gear. I had a hard time once I actually got to Platinum. I just, had to farm lower level people. My defense gets destroyed most of the time. But yeah, so guys, that's just a quick recap of all the heroes that I used. I wanted to bring that to you just in case it was useful. But yeah, that's all I got. So anyway, catch you on the next one. See ya.